There we go. Okay, I will now call the Planning Committee meeting to order. Welcome to our virtual Planning Committee meeting. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic and required physical distancing measures, Council is still practicing distancing by participating via video conference. We have members of Council, the Executive Management Team, and the City Clerk on tonight's call. Members of the Senior Leadership Team are not visible, but are available to answer questions related to tonight's planning matter, although we have just one item on tonight's agenda. It's a public meeting for 181 Burton Avenue. So although registration in advance was encouraged, so you can get the details to come into the call and speak in the meeting. If you have not yet registered and you wish to speak, or you decide to during the course of the presentation, please email cityclerks@barrie.ca or call 705-797-5353 and staff will send you the information required to participate in the meeting. We do ask that anybody who wishes to speak tonight and call in from their phone, please make sure it's fully charged or your device is plugged in so that we can get all of your comments. The purpose of tonight's public meeting is to review an application for a zoning bylaw amendment and a draft plan of subdivision submitted by Celeste Phillips Planning Inc. on behalf of 8952175 Canada Corp, which is operating as Uplands Holdings, and that is for lands municipally known as 181 Burton Avenue in Ward 8. Members of Planning Committee tonight will be listening to the presentation and the comments received from the public. However, we won't be making comments on the matter tonight. We will save those for when the report comes back to Planning Committee at a future date. As the purpose of the public meeting is to hear from the public, we limit questions to the ward councillor afterwards. And of course, members of Planning Committee can get their questions answered by email or other methods over the coming months. In addition, sorry, no, I already read that bit. Michelle, Ms. Banfield, Director of Planning, could you confirm that notification was conducted in accordance with the Planning Act for this public meeting?
Yes, Mary Lehman, it was.
Thank you very much. So I'll now call on Celeste Phillips of Celeste Phillips Planning Inc. to provide the presentation concerning the proposal for 181 Burton Avenue. Ms. Phillips, welcome to Planning Committee.
Thank you, Mayor Lehman. Good evening, Mayor Lehman, members of the committee, members of the public, and city staff. I am Celeste Phillips. I'm a land use planning consultant, and I'm speaking to you this evening on behalf of the numbered company that Mayor Lehman has mentioned. And with me this evening is the project architect, Ian Malcolm. The owner of their property is Maria Rosens. She operates with that numbered company as the mayor has mentioned. So I'll just start the presentation. There we go. So the request this evening is for planning approvals to permit a 3-story, 22-unit condominium building at 181 Burton Avenue. The property is located on the north side of Burton Avenue. It's west of Huronia Road and east of Bayview Drive.
Can I just interrupt? Are we supposed to be seeing the presentation right now?
Thanks, Deputy Mayor Ward. I was just about to say that too. We aren't
okay.
seeing the presentation yet, Ms. Phillips. So if we can get the screen sharing going, Madam Clerk.
I'm going to try again. Mayor Lehman.
That's got it.
Okay, so this is the first slide. Are you able to see this now?
Yep.
Members committee. Okay, great. So as I mentioned, the property is located at 181 Burton, and the request is for this for the approvals to permit this 3-story, 22-unit condominium building. And the property is located, as I mentioned, on the north side of Burton Avenue, west of Huronia Road and east of Bayview Drive. And it's within the city of Barrie's urban growth center, which, as you know, is the focal point for higher density growth and intensification in Barrie. This property is about a 10-minute walk from the GO station and about a 15-minute walk from the waterfront. This is an aerial view of the property. It is vacant. It's about a half an acre in size. The surrounding land uses are for the most part commercial to the west, east, and south. Furthest to the south beyond the commercial uses on Burton Avenue is the Park Shore Village residential townhouse development. And to the north of this property, the lands are open space and environmental protection. And beyond that, to the north of the lands are designated and zoned for residential use. This is a street view of the property. As you can see, to the east is the laundromat, which is a 2-story structure. The property is for the most part unvegetated, with the exception of the back part of the property that does have some treed areas on it. The property is designated general commercial in the City of Barrie official plan. It's zoned commercial C4 by your zoning bylaw. In consultation with city staff, the applicant was advised that the appropriate zone category would be the mixed use corridor 2 MU2 zone. In terms of the development details, the proposed building is designed by Ian Malcolm. It would be 3 stories in height, as I mentioned, with 22 units. There would be 12 one-bedroom units and 10 two-bedroom units. Surface parking and the amenity area would be located behind the building. And minor adjustments are being requested to the zoning, and these are referenced in the memorandum to committee provided by planning staff this evening. This is the preliminary site plan that Ian Malcolm has prepared. Along the bottom is Burton Avenue. This would be the access into the property through a private drive, through a drive-through underpass to the rear of the property where the parking and the amenity area would be located. The proposed elevations are on the next slide. In the bottom left, you will see the elevation as viewed from Burton Avenue. This is this drive-through underpass that I mentioned, and 3 stories of units. The top left of the slide is the view of the building as seen from the rear of the property. And the 2 smaller images on the right-hand side of the slide are the elevations on the west and the east side. Virtual open house was held in late April. At that time, the architect and I responded to questions regarding front and rear yard setbacks. There were some questions about using stepping slopes on portions of the property where some grading will be required. There were questions about garbage management, at which time we advised it would be on-site garbage management. Barrier-free units would be provided in accordance with the Ontario Building Code. There was a question about having the architect explore the opportunities for bird-friendly glass balconies, and he's committed to do so before site plan approval. There was a question about traffic and whether there needed to be a traffic light at this location. We did advise at that time, and still the case is that the city requests a 4.5 meter road widening across the front of this property. And it's our position that the current commercial zoning would in fact generate more traffic than the proposed residential use. There was one individual who expressed concern about loss of view from Woodcrest Road. I would mention that the existing trees on site are actually exceed 3 stories. And as I mentioned, there's a 2-story laundromat located right to the east of the property. And Woodcrest Road is about 20 meters higher than Burton Avenue. I have prepared the next slide to show the development approvals that have taken place in the area. 181 Burton Avenue is located in this location, and it's at about 232 meters above sea level if you're looking for the contour, whereas Woodcrest Road is about 252 to 254, so it's about 20 to 22 meters higher than 181 Burton Avenue. And I am showing on the slide other 3- and 4-story structures that have been approved in the area. 1 Milburn is the site of condominium development, 3 to 4 stories. Park Shore Village townhouses now built and occupied are 3 stories. I believe there's also an application for townhouses, a small apartment building, I believe, at Frank's Way, which is also 3 stories. So it's not unusual for 3 stories to be requested in this area, and we're hopeful that the slide demonstrates that there won't be a loss of view for those residents on Woodcrest Road. And my final slide tonight is just to advise you about the documents that are on file with the City of Barrie, forming part of the complete application. There are a number of reports, and these are available on the City of Barrie website under Ward 8 Developments. There are architectural drawings and a property survey. There are a number of technical reports. There was an environmental impact study required, which looked at species at risk. The terms of reference for that report were established in consultation with the Lake Simcoe Region Conservation Authority. The results were that there are no significant woodlots on this property, no species at risk. There's a recommendation that the timing of tree removal be in accordance with the Migratory Bird Act. There was also a noise report done to look at the noise impacts from the GO layover site and the nearby stationary noise associated with the automotive use across the road. The noise report made recommendations about the treatment of the north and east side windows and glass enclosed balconies on the north and east sides of the building. There was also a geotechnical report that looked at the soils and bearing capacity, and a functional servicing report that confirmed that the existing municipal services can accommodate this property. It also looked at stormwater management in terms of quality and quantity, low impact development, water balance, and phosphorus calculations. In the planning justification report, I have provided my planning opinion that the applications are consistent with the provincial policy statement and the growth plan, and the applications conform to both the City of Barrie official plan and the Lake Simcoe protection plan. And so on behalf of the applicant, I would respectfully request council's approval of the applications before you. And that concludes my presentation, Mayor and members of the committee, but I would advise that I and Malcolm and I are both available to assist with questions if you have any. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Ms. Phillips, for the presentation. I will ask Ms. Banfield now to give us an update on the status of the application from city staff.
Thank you for the introduction, Mayor Lehman, and good evening to everyone. So please be advised that planning staff are currently just completing our technical review associated with this application. As you know, a neighborhood meeting was held back in April with approximately 11 residents, the applicant, the ward councillor, and planning staff. So we definitely heard from some of the comments about some of the appropriateness of the proposed standards, parking and height of the building, the traffic issue that Ms. Phillips talked about, the potential need for any sort of improvements, inquiry about the provision of barrier-free units, as well as a request to consider some larger 3-bedroom units, as well as concerns about the loss of the view to the waterfront and the birds, again, as Ms. Phillips said. So the application is under review by the city's internal technical departments, as well as our external agencies, and a full analysis will be brought back to Planning Committee. The primary planning and land use matters being considered remain the potential impacts and the buffering from any of the adjacent natural heritage features, including boundary trees, an analysis of the intensification targets, the change of use as proposed, and the site design, as well as we always take a look at the justification and the appropriateness of any site-specific provision being requested. So staff are presenting or are targeting, the early part of 2022 to have a staff report brought back to Planning Committee. Any comment that we received during the technical review process, as well as any comments from the neighborhood meeting and what we hear tonight will be included and addressed in the planning staff report. All of our submission materials and key dates associated with this application are available for online viewing on the city's proposed development webpage under Ward 8. And the file manager on this is Michelle Freedy. So she's actually a new member of our planning team, but people can always contact her directly as well. So this concludes my presentation. And as always, I thank you for your attention.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Banfield, for the update. I'll just remind anybody watching, if you wish to speak tonight, you need to email cityclerks@barrie.ca or call 705 would be our area code, 797-5353, and our staff will give you the directions on how to join the meeting and speak tonight. I believe we have one registered speaker, Ms. Cook, and that I believe is Maria Rosens. Is that correct?
Yes, Mayor Lehman, that is correct. And so far, she is the only speaker this evening.
Okay,
Mayor
well.
Lehman, and Mayor Lehman, that is the owner of the property. That's my client.
I see. Okay, and does she wish to speak here at the public meeting, or was she just registering so that she could if needed?
I'm not sure.
All right, well, let's ask her. I'm gonna bring her into the call.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. It's a pleasure to meet you all, even virtually. Sorry for the delayed appearance. City clerks had issues registering me. But no, I don't have any questions. I believe Celeste did an amazing presentation. I just wanted to pop up and see where we're going with this.
Okay, thanks very much for being here. And obviously, without too many other folks here to comment tonight on the application, this may be a very short public meeting. And then, of course, the next step for Planning Committee will be when staff bring the report forward. But thank you for being here. Ms. Rosens, any members of the committee have any questions for Ms. Rosens? No? Okay, Madam, sorry, did I see your hand, Councillor Harris?
Sorry, I thought you were coming to me. Sorry, when you said
Yeah, go ahead.
committee, I was I was expecting a special request. Thanks, Mayor Lehman. Yeah, you know what? I'll be brief because I think the representation tonight shows that in the meeting that we had with the neighborhood, the size and scale seemed quite reasonable, and people were really asking questions more about subtle details as opposed to significant concerns. So I think that shows tonight. So maybe just on that, just a quick question, if we have Ms. Rosens here. If I ask a question, why condominiums versus rentals in the decision for the 22 units?
So I have a chance of proper exit. I'm planning to rent all of them, and I'm planning to be the sole ownership, but things change in life, right? So I want to have flexibility of exiting.
Great, thank you for that. And just curious, and if I could just a bit more detail, I know recently there's been a lot of concern and comment about trees and tree preservation. And the picture of the lot to the back, there's a fair number of trees. And I heard the comment of not being a significant wood lot. Can you maybe, Ms. Phillips, you could explain a bit more about the tree kind of preservation process that would go on in this lot? Thank you.
Ms. Phillips.
Yes, Councillor Harris. Just to go back to the rental question, my advice to clients, and I think you'd hear for the same from Ian Malcolm, is that although Maria's interest is in renting the units, from a long-term perspective, it's helpful if she registers it as a condo now for her long-term planning. But from the start of my involvement with this file, her intent has always been to rent the units. Secondly, with respect to the trees at the back of the property, that was a matter studied by Cambium, who did the environmental impact study and the species at risk. And they had a look at the edge of that wood lot to determine its significance, if any. And their findings were that it did not form part of a significant wood lot. Having said that, however, under the Migratory Bird Act, trees can only be removed at certain times of the year. And so that is certainly a recommendation of that report, that there needs to be careful consideration of when those trees are removed. And we don't have the details yet because we haven't gotten to site plan, but my expectation is that some of those trees will be removed. But as is usual between medium density developments such as this and other uses, there's often landscape buffers provided, but we're not at that level of detail yet.
Great. Thanks, Ms. Phillips. That's all I have, Mayor Lehman. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Councillor Harris. Madam Clerk, I'll just check again whether anybody else has registered to ask to speak.
No, Mayor Lehman, we have no further speakers.
Okay, Councillor Harris, you've been able to have your questions answered as the ward councillor? All good? Okay, then with that, I can declare this very short public meeting concluded. Thank you very much, Ms. Phillips, Ms. Rosens, Ms. Banfield. I see you come into the call. Anything we need to know? Okay, then the only other, we'll declare the public meeting concluded. Thanks again for being here, and the staff report will be coming forward to Planning Committee at a later date. The only other item on Planning Committee's agenda is inquiries of planning staff. Are there any inquiries from members of committee? Okay, then tonight was a very short meeting. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
And we will see you a week from Monday for general committee. Good night, everyone.
Good night. Thank you.